Welcome to Bards and Barrels, the podcast for Dungeons & Dragons players new and old. I'm Ross Druce, and I'm joined by my friends and co-hosts Brett Miller and Phil Boone. We'll be exploring the world of Dungeons & Dragons in each episode, sharing our experiences, offering tips and advice for those who play and run this classic game. So whether you're a new player just starting out or a seasoned veteran looking to get a new perspective on things, Bards and Barrels has something for everyone. So sit back, grab a drink, and join us as we roll for initiative and embark on an epic adventure. And there's the opening crack for the last time this season. How we doing, fellas?
Woo! Is it really the last time this time?
Well, you know, we may have to do a take 3. You never know. I did hit record this time, so here's that. Woo!
Cheers.
Oh man, so it is the end of season 2. What are just your general thoughts on how things went this year?
Are we coming back?
Well, I think we're coming back.
Okay,
That's the plan. I don't know.
I'm good.
We didn't get canceled, right?
No, yeah, don't have to worry about that. You're fired.
The beer police haven't found us yet.
No, thank God. That'd be awful.
They don't approve of our rankings.
I don't think that's a problem.
Sometimes I don't know if we approve of our rankings.
That's true. We don't have that many followers. But speaking of beer, we did 30 some odd episodes this year, differing a little bit from season 1, where we pretty much post on a bi-weekly basis, and we talked strictly about D&D. We did a lot of things for the beginner and intro type players. And then in season 2, we really wanted to add something for that off week. And we decided that, since we're drinking beers when we do this show anyway, it would be very fitting for us to talk about the beers or try different beers and talk about them. And so thus the opening crack was born. So what are your feelings about how the opening crack went this season?
So many tasty options. I mean, and we had to get the barrels in the Bards and Barrels name to make sense. So
Sure.
It fits.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was nice because it was very different from our normal episodes that were like 30 to 45 minutes. The opening cracks were only like 15 minutes ish. We still gave people a little bit of D&D because we played around with like pub names and beer names that you could take and throw into your own adventure and stuff like that. So I thought it was just nice, well-rounded kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, if for nothing else, you could just listen through them and just write down all the beer names and tavern names, and then you wouldn't have to come up with your own.
That's exactly right. You can make up your own rollable tables with the names that we come up with, and how many times those were in Baldur's Gate or El Terrell.
Flavor profiles for them, how strong they are. I mean, you're just set.
That's absolutely right.
The challenge rating involved. Yeah, they are like a beer review episode, but it's not just about beer. Like, if you haven't listened to those, I highly recommend going and listening to some of them. If you don't like beer, skip through the first little bit of it, and then you can jump into where we get into a little bit more of the D&D side of the beer.
If you didn't listen to any of the opening cracks, you probably never would have met Carl, right?
Oh, that's true. I forgot about Carl.
Oh,
I think Carl's only ever been on opening crack, as far as I
is
remember.
Carl here?
Hey guys, I'm still over here. I'm sitting in the back room.
Hey, Carl, how's it going?
Yeah, I can't stay very long. I gotta get out of here. Peace,
Okay.
boys. See you in
Bye, Carl.
season 3.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, man, it's good to hear from Carl.
Oh, man, we had some really fun guests this season.
We did, and I think that's a great segue because one of them is now a permanent piece of the opening cracks. We asked a good friend of ours who is a master brewer and helps make us not sound like just this is beer. Our friend Damon Jensen Heitman, who is the master brewer for Steeple Brewing in Hastings, Nebraska, joined the opening crack, which has been great because he can actually talk about the styles of beer, and he knows about them and like what they're supposed to be, and which it just adds a little depth to those episodes, which was great. And then also we had guests on the show too. So we had Sean Winningham, who, AKA the Crit Hit the Giant, who came on the show. He's a big fan of the show. We're a big fan of his stuff too, that he puts out on his social media channels. That was great because it's us getting out there and making ourselves known to other content creators out there, and it's also a little relieving to know people do listen to us and like the show. So thank you, Sean. Thank you.
It was just fun to be able to hang out with somebody who is excited about D&D to the level we are.
Yeah, you could see the passion. Yeah, I'm excited to have him come back in future seasons as well, because I think that there's a lot of synergy there too. We're excited about the game. We love the game. We want to get people to play the game, and Sean's in that realm too.
Yes, and he fits in with that 30-something dad vibe that we have going on here kind of thing. So it's great. Another thing that happened this season, guest related, was also that we've gone and been guests on other podcasts. Recently, I was on the Nerdlandia podcast, which is run by a former college mate of mine who has like content creators come on her show, and she's had like bands and artists and all kinds of things. So it was a little weird when she asked me if I wanted to come on, because it's like, I don't consider myself to be an artist, but I certainly am a content creator, and we do come up with a lot of things that we have to be super creative about. So it was a lot of fun going on that show. She's an avid craft beer aficionado as well, so we talked a little bit about beer. We talked about D&D. It was a great time. So hopefully Emily can come on our show at some point. But also, Phil, you were on a podcast as well.
Yeah, I was. I don't believe the episode has dropped yet, but I was on the podcast Two Shrinks and Me with one of my buddies from initially that I met in Utah, and had the opportunity to kind of talk about how playing Dungeons and Dragons can potentially like assist with improving your mental health, and like different strategies that you can use while you're playing D&D, and how some people use it as an escape, and how it can teach you social skills, and just some of those more, I don't know, psychological aspects of playing the game. So it was an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, nice. Now we just need to get Brett on a podcast, because he's the only one out there. So if you're listening and you want to have Brett come on your podcast, or or if you want Phil and I to come, or all of us, just let us know. Reach out at bardsandbarrels@gmail.com, or message us anywhere.
Enough to have all three of us come on.
Boy.
Oh man,
you better be ready for it to go off the rails if you do that. We tend to do things like that, but that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Get ready for a lot of like editing out, a lot of bleeps, and
hey, that's what makes us so personable, right? The bleeps.
If you ever want to know, go look up our review episodes.
Oh God, yes. So just really quick before we move on to kind of what our summer plans are, as you look through what we did throughout the year, like we kicked off the season with DMing, we kept going on our class reviews.
Someday we'll finish them.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully early season 3 we'll get through those. We did some reviews of some like tangent D&D 5e things. We did a review of a completely different system with Merkborg. So it's been like we've covered a lot of ground this season.
Did we do a holiday episode in season 1, or was that new in season 2 as well?
It was new in season 2 as well, yes. So I thought that was a lot of fun, because like for the time, and we released that on Christmas Day, so it's like we kept it very lighthearted and just very different from the other episodes. It was kind of funny when we rolled everything into YouTube when Google Podcasts went away. Like that was one of the first episodes that started getting views. I'm like, why? Like that particular show doesn't have a ton of substance to it, but it's just a fun one. Like we just had fun recording that, but I'm like, I appreciate everybody that listened to that, because that was it was interesting. Let's go with that.
The other thing that we did was we brought back the mailbag, which is always a little scary going into them, but those are always a lot of fun too.
I think the mailbags are never going away. I think we need to keep doing those for as long as we're doing this show. We need to keep doing mailbags. It's just a lot of fun. It's fun. Maybe you guys get to run one someday. Not really. I enjoy being on this side of the table and doing those.
You just want the answer. You want the questions beforehand. That's what it is.
I
want
do.
The power.
I find them thoroughly enjoying.
As you're like reading off the questions, and we're just sitting here like, what are we going?
The last mailbag episode we did, one of the questions got really long, and I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Like, what was the first half of the question? I got nervous about it.
Hey, at least I gave you a heads up before that episode, like generally what most of the questions were about. Past mailbag episodes, I was just like, good luck.
Yeah, I feel like,
were you paying attention to that?
Like, I don't remember that, but okay.
That's on you if you don't pay attention when I give you a little heads up on
Too many
things.
beers.
So anyway, I think season 2 is great. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. It's where we really grew as content creators. We did a lot of things. It was also a little bit of a litmus test to see if we could crank out that much content, because it was kind of an unknown. We knew we could do bi-weekly. I mean, was only like 18 to 20 episodes, so we knew we could do that pretty easily, but doing like a full every week 37 episode block or however many it was, we weren't sure if we could do it, and we found out we could. I'm not sure that we'll ever expand much beyond that. We have some ideas looking to the future for something called the Bottom of the Barrel, which we would probably only do quarterly, where it's just a time for us to talk about things that are influencing us as D&D players and creators. So that could be movies, music, things we're reading.
It's when we've hit the bottom of the barrel.
Exactly. That's kind of the point. That's where you find like all the stuff that's left over that doesn't really fit into any of our episodes. And so we thought that would be kind of fun. I'm not sure how we're going to do that. We haven't really piloted that out yet. So we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, what you got in season 2 is going to look very similar to that in terms of structure when we get to season 3.
We going to play in season 3?
Are we going to? Yes. So thank you, Phil. That's a perfect segue. So over the summer, so you're actually going to get this before season 3. We have been playing
Season 2.5.
Season 2.5. That's right. Summer edition.
Summer class.
School's out.
Road trip. We're going to take you on a little bit of it's likely going to end up being a 3-episode arc where we play through the Rick and Morty module that Wizards of the Coast came out with. That should be a ton of fun. It's us coming back with Matt and Isaac, who have played through Light of Xeraxis, who played Descent into Avernus with us. And the first recording we did of this was a flippin' blast. I have not gone in and tried to edit it yet, so
Ooh, good luck.
Don't ask about that one. But the idea of that is we wanted to finally give everybody a chance to hear us play, which we have not really done yet. Initial gut reaction is we took it to heart and everybody was role playing pretty hardcore. So it was, if you've ever seen Rick and Morty, we play some of those characters.
It was a lot of firsts for us too, right? Mm-hmm. So we're playing in Foundry.
Yes.
Which Brett got us set up on, which so far I love. I don't know what you guys thought. Like,
different. It's new for us. And it's a lot of getting used to, which we're going to have to... Good luck editing all the pauses out, Ross.
That's fine. Pauses are simple. That's okay. So yeah, there's lots of new things in that. We'll probably talk about that over the summer. We'll probably do a little review and include Foundry in that too. So there'll probably be 3 or 4 episodes that we'll drop on the summer. Otherwise, most of our content over the next few months is actually going to be on YouTube. We're going to start releasing some mid-range form videos in the 5 to 10 minute range that are talking about some of the things we've already talked about in a very condensed form. And then we'll have YouTube shorts, things like that. We'll continue to drop our podcast episodes. You can always listen to those over on YouTube. So if you have not subscribed, I would highly suggest you do so because that's where you're going to see the bulk of our content. Now, Season 3. Season 3 is going to be a ton of fun. We've already talked a little bit about how we're going to finish out the classes. We're going to start talking about races in D&D, like the benefits of various races, things like that. We're going to dive into D&D and AI. That's probably going to be one of the very early episodes that we're going to talk about. We're going to get into the weeds. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like we've done a really good overview to this point for new players to D&D, and now it's time to start diving into some of those, like, and nitpicking some rules and things like that. So, like, on our list, we have things like handling food, water, and dealing with encumbrance. That is typically not something that players think about, but it is a set of rules within the book of things you can track and things that you can deal with. So doing that, talking about the different types of casting, so cantrips, spells, ritual casting, like how those work, the different pieces to those. We haven't really dove into that too deep, as well as we're going to continue the beers every other week. So
one of the things that I'm excited about on the episode list too is talking about like the opponent strategy during combat and about monsters. I'm pretty excited about those couple episodes.
One of the ones I'm excited about is touching on like how to avoid trying to make the perfect party and like not min-maxing everything when you get a group of people around a table together. That's one I'm really excited to dive into.
Nice. Well, I think that's going to pretty much wrap up our season 2 wrap. We're going to wrap the wrap.
Wrap the wrap.
And then our little bit of season 3 preview here. So again, look, be on the lookout for.
Let's see if we can break Frost.
not make eye contact. So be on the lookout for Rick and Morty D&D play dropping over the summer. We're also going to we may have another beer. We've been floating, potentially having a summer beer that we review and drop this summer. But really the big deal is if you want to be catching content from us before we launch season 3, which is tentatively scheduled for September 1st, to be subscribing to our YouTube channel so you catch any of the content that we're putting out over the summer. But any thoughts, guys, before we get out of here?
It's fun. Hey, and if you have any mailbag questions, send us an email, drop us a comment on any of our social media channels. We'd love to hear them, and we'll start pulling together those questions for next time.
Yes, and you actually made me think of one thing. Buzzsprout, that is our hosting platform, actually just enabled like a texting feature. And so wherever you find your podcast, there'll be a little link in the description where you can text the show. So even if it's just a message saying, hey, this was a great episode, or if you have an idea or a question that you want us to address on a mailbag, click that link and send us a message. That's the whole purpose of that, is to give us feedback, encouragement, whatever you want to do. But totally utilize that. We're going to enable that when we get into season 3. So anyway, I think that's going to do it, not only for this episode of Bards and Barrels, but this season of Bards and Barrels. Of course, you can listen to all of our past episodes anywhere podcasts can be found. If you want to stay in the loop, not miss the latest from us, for sure go subscribe on YouTube. That's the big thing, but you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bards and Barrels as well. Anyway, we'll see you soon. Have a great summer.